This is the Weekly Roundup on EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. I'm Darshana Gochan. Prime Minister Hun Sen opened the 2022 World Peace Summit in Seoul, South Korea with the participation of leaders, senior officials, and experts from more than 100 countries. During his opening remarks, the Prime Minister stated that war cannot be ended by more war. EAC News reporter Robin Lim has the story.
Speaking at the opening ceremony of the 2022 World Peace Summit on Friday morning, the Prime Minister stated that for almost half of his life, he has engaged in negotiations over war. He further shared his strong belief that war only causes suffering to the people and is not a viable solution. He mentioned the win-win policy he enacted in Cambodia as an example for the other countries to observe and follow. He said that Cambodia and the Mekong region can provide lessons on peace creation, peace building, and national reunification, and the win-win politics in Cambodia can be a source of inspiration and research for countries. He also called on North and South Korea to reach a peace treaty in order to turn the Korean Peninsula into a peaceful and united region. Prime Minister Hun Sen left Cambodia to co-chair the 2022 World Peace Summit on Thursday. In addition to being the co-chairman of the event, the Prime Minister was also selected as one of the winners of the 2022 Sun Hack Peace Prize, which will make him the first leader and individual in the ASEAN to receive the award. Robin Lim, EAC News.
Former United Nations Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon has told Prime Minister Hun Sen that he would like to work with the ASEAN Special Envoy to Myanmar, Deputy Prime Minister Prak Sokhonn, to support cooperation between the United Nations and ASEAN in resolving the crisis in Myanmar. EAC News reporter Dekanin has the details.
While meeting Prime Minister Hun Sen in Seoul, South Korea, former Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon expressed his support to the Prime Minister for his chairmanship of ASEAN in 2022 and his visit to Myanmar. He further asked the Prime Minister to be able to contact the ASEAN Special Envoy, Deputy Prime Minister Prak Sokhonn, directly to help on the matter of the ongoing Myanmar crisis. The minister delegate attached to the Prime Minister, Kai Kim-hoon, told reporters after the meeting that because Ban Ki-moon was a former Secretary-General of the United Nations, ASEAN and the United Nations can work together to promote this work to help Myanmar. Prime Minister Hun Sen, as the 2022 ASEAN chair, traveled to Myanmar on the 7th to the 8th of January for an official state visit. After meeting with Myanmar military leader Min Aung Hlaing, the Prime Minister appointed Cambodian Foreign Minister Prak Sokhonn as the special envoy of the ASEAN chair on Myanmar, who will work to implement the ASEAN 5-point consensus for Myanmar and help instill peace in the country. The next major event to take place under Cambodia's 2022 ASEAN chairmanship is the ASEAN Foreign Ministers Meeting, will take place from the 15th to the 17th of February. Dekanin, EAC News.
Prime Minister Hun Sen met with the Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of Korea Park Byung-sung on Friday afternoon in Seoul, South Korea, and briefed him on the economic advantages of relation with Cambodia. He also urged the National Assembly Speaker to ratify the Cambodia-Korea Free Trade Agreement (FTA) and encourage more Korean investors to come to Cambodia. During the meeting, Prime Minister Hun Sen remarked that Cambodia and South Korea have reached 25 years of bilateral relations, which is a cause of celebration. He added that he wished to see more cooperation between the two countries, especially in trade, investment, and aid. He urged the Korean side to ratify the FTA between the two countries as soon as possible and increase the number of South Korean investors in Cambodia. The minister delegated a charge to the Prime Minister Kai Kim-hoon told reporters after the meeting that Prime Minister Hun Sen said that he has already proposed to the President of the Republic Korea the Form 1 Plus, and hopefully Korean companies that are currently investing in Vietnam and Thailand can also increase their investment in Cambodia. Prime Minister Hun Sen also expressed his desire to see more cooperation between the Cambodian-Korean National Assembly and the construction of a Cambodian-Korean Friendship Bridge. In response, the South Korean Speaker of the National Assembly told Prime Minister Hun Sen that the Republic of Korea would consider ratifying the Cambodia-Korea FTA in mid-2022 and that he would work on this directly. He added that the achievement of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership or CEP and the Cambodia-Korea FTA would definitely boost trade and investment between the two countries. In 2021, the trade volume between Cambodia and Korea was worth around US $1 billion, which both sides have expressed they hope will increase in the future. Sri Pokong, EAC News.
Yes, tomorrow. Yes.
The President of the Republic of Korea, Moon Jae-in, welcomed the presence of Prime Minister Hun Sen in South Korea at this time and highlighted the relationship between the two countries, which he hopes to continue to work together. He said that Cambodia is a priority for Korea to help as well as provide cooperation. Addressing the meeting with the Cambodian Prime Minister at the Presidential Palace, Moon Jae-in stressed that Cambodia is a priority for Korea, especially with regarding to the signing of the Free Trade Agreement, and Cambodia is the first country that Korea has signed up with. He said that Cambodia and Korea have worked closely together and have cooperated well. In response, Prime Minister Hun Sen thanked Mr. Moon Jae-in for meeting with him again. The Prime Minister emphasised that since he is the co-founder of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Cambodia and Korea, and this year is the 25th anniversary of the bilateral diplomatic relations between the two countries, he said that our two countries should organise activities to celebrate the anniversary of diplomatic relations and strengthen cooperation as well as better relations. In addition, Prime Minister also requested the Korean side to expedite the ratification of the Cambodian-Korea Free Trade Agreement to enter into force. He also urged Korea to support the industry in Cambodia, especially the processing industry, and increase investments. Prime Minister spoke about the good opportunities for investors through the new investment law of Cambodia. Regarding human resource development, the Prime Minister requested Korea to continue to assist Cambodia in this area, such as increasing the provision of scholarships to Cambodian civil servants and students, such as training in technical skills and civil aviation. On this occasion, Prime Minister Hun Sen also requested Korea to continue to increase the quota to bring more Cambodian workers to work in Korea and to continue to pay attention to the well-being of Cambodian workers. While Hun Sen thanked Korea for vaccinating COVID-19 to the Cambodian who is working in Korea, Prime Minister also thanked Korea regarding the construction of the Cambodian-Korea Friendship Bridge in Cambodia, which crosses the Mekong River through grants and concessional loans to serve the needs of Cambodian people. He also thanked the Republic of Korea for its contribution to the fight against COVID-19 and medical aid given to Cambodia. In response, Moon Jae-in, President of the Republic of Korea, stated that the Cambodian-Korea Free Trade Agreement is being submitted to the Parliament of the Republic of Korea for ratification. He said that Korea will continue to work with Cambodia in investing and helping in the economy, which currently about 300 Korean companies investing in Cambodia. Cambodia and Korea re-established ties with the participation of the Prime Minister of Cambodia, Hun Sen, and later officially announced their relationship in 1997. Over the past 25 years, bilateral relations between Cambodia and South Korea have reached a high level, boosting trade, investments, tourism, and development assistance. Cooperation between the two countries can be seen in many fields ranging from politics to economics. Prime Minister Hun Sen said at the Sanghaek Peace Medal Forum in Seoul, Republic of Korea, that the peace is the beginning of everything. If there is no peace, do not talk about hope. Do not talk about democracy, development, and human rights. Peace is more valuable than anything for him. Speaking at the Sanghaek Peace Prize Awards ceremony in 2022 in Seoul, Republic of Korea, on the morning of the 12th of February 2022, the Prime Minister said that some people living in peace may think that peace is normal, which is different from those living in a war where they know the value of peace. He shared his personal experience of living in the war in Cambodia. He said that when the war started in Cambodia, he was forced to drop out of school and face constant suffering. And he set the goal to find peace in Cambodia, which took almost 30 years to find. He has sacrificed a lot and achieved this dream. He had lost one eye and fled to Vietnam through a minefield during the night, leaving his pregnant wife in Cambodia.
She was then 5 months pregnant. And when I met the reunite with my family reunion, my son called me uncle. In the world, how many people face such a suffering life like me?
He also recalled risking his life again through negotiations with the Khmer Rouge to persuade them to lay down their arms and surrender to the royal government through a win-win policy that ended the war and brought complete peace in 1998.
From Cambodia's experience with war and peace, I wish to emphasize it that no peace, no hope. No peace, no development. No peace, no respect for human rights and democracy. And I share the same belief as Reverend Sun Myung Moon and Dr. Jahan Moon that peace is concrete action, not a vague dream.
It should be noted that the Prime Minister Hun Sen was chosen by the Sun Hak Peace Foundation as the winner of his peace because of his steadfastness for many years as Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Cambodia. And his leadership really contributed to building stability, economic development and peace in the Kingdom of Cambodia and the whole of Southeast Asia. Prime Minister of Cambodia is the first leader in ASEAN to be awarded by this Peace Foundation. Secretary of State and Ministry of Social Affairs and Secretary-General of Disability Action Council, Mr. Chan Makra, congratulated Prime Minister Hun Sen on the occasion of receiving the Sun Hak Peace Prize in Seoul the morning of the 12th of February 2022. He said that the Peace Award that the Prime Minister received was recognition as well as showing to the world his peaceful leadership of him. Mr. Chan Makra said that under the leadership of the country for more than 40 years, Prime Minister has made many achievements, such as liberation of the country from the Khmer Rouge regime, negotiations, the establishment of the Paris Agreement, negotiations and a win-win politics, and the civil war, and that was brought complete peace to this day. In addition, he said Prime Minister Hun Sen became more prominent at the time when the world was facing uncertain geopolitical challenges and the world peace and negotiations were increasingly being used. He echoed Prime Minister's remarks at the opening of the World Peace Summit yesterday, war cannot be ended by war, which is a short but meaningful word for pacifists and those who are torn apart by war to think about. The Sun Hak Peace Prize was created and recognised dignitaries and institutions that have served humanity, which can serve a model for a better world for future generations. The Sun Hak Peace Prize is an international peace award established in 2015 to commemorate the peace vision of the founders, Mr. Sun Myung Moon and Dr. Hak Ja Hun Moon. President of the Sun Hak Peace Foundation, Mr. Thomas G. Walsh, stated that the selection of the Prime Minister Hun Sen for his award due to strong leadership of him as the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Cambodia for many years and has really contributed to the building of stability, economic development and peace in the Kingdom of Cambodia and in the whole of Southeast Asia.
A new 93-kilometer-long stretch of National Road No. 7 in Kratie Province, constructed from a $39 million grant from China, was officially inaugurated on Monday morning. The ceremony was presided over by Prime Minister Hun Sen and other senior ministers. This road is part of the Asian Highway 11 network and will help to promote the development of the Cambodia-Laos-Vietnam Development Triangle area. EAC News reporter Srai Porkong has more details.
The new 93.56 kilometer stretch of National Road No. 7 runs from the Tiger Roundabout to Ultra Long, Ô Clieng Commune, Sambo District in Kratie Province. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony, the Minister of Public Works and Transport Sun Chantol stated that this road is part of ASEAN Highway 11 and the Greater Mekong Sub-region GMS corridor, which connects Kunming in southern China through Vientiane, Laos, Phnom Penh, and toward the port of Sihanouk Ville, Cambodia. He added that the National Road Number 7 will play an important role in promoting the development of the Cambodia-Laos-Vietnam Development Triangle area, which will help to develop more remote areas of the three countries, particularly the provinces of Bông Khmum, Kratie, Stung Trai, Ratanakiri, and Mandaluyong in Cambodia. The senior minister stated that the new stretch of road extends from the roundabout in the village of Kapo, Orusay Commune to Ramit Village, Okriang Commune in Sambo District. He also added that the road surface pavement has been upgraded with asphalt concrete AC from its previous double bituminous surface treatment pavement DBST, based on conclusion from an updated study on the increase in traffic, combined with national economic growth, trade, investment, and tourism in Cambodia. Senior Minister Sun Chantol said that the project to improve the quality of National Road Number 7 was conducted under a grant of the Chinese government, began construction in November 2016, and was completed in December 2018 by the Shanghai Construction Corporation SCG and under the technical supervision of Guangzhou Wan'an Technical Consulting. He continued to say that this new achievement is an invaluable and precious bond that arises from the strong friendship and cooperation between the Royal Government of Cambodia and the Government of the People's Republic of China to the people of Kratie Province and the people across the country for general and long-term use. He affirmed that National Road Number 7 will connect Phnom Penh through major provinces such as Kampong Cham, Bông Khmum, Kratie, and Stung Trai toward the fourth economic pole of Cambodia in the northeast of the country, and which will serve the direct traffic of economic, trade, and tourism exchange activity in the countries. Srei Pokong, EAC News.
In a letter sent by the U.S. President Joe Biden to Prime Minister Hun Sen, it was stated that the U.S. administration looks forward to working with Cambodia as 2022 ASEAN chair. The letter further says under Cambodia's chairmanship, the United States hopes to both grow its relationship with ASEAN and continue to pursue its common goals in the region. EAC News reporter Robin Lim has more.
The United States has made sure that it is committed to the Asian centrality and remains steadfast in its support for an Asian-central regional architecture at the heart of the Indo-Pacific. It says it has expected that it is already received from Indonesia in its capacity as a country coordinator from the United States in ASEAN. The enclosed correspondence conveying the intent to invite Asian leaders to join the President of the United States in Washington for a special summit in the coming months. President Joe Biden has reached out to Prime Minister Hun Sen personally, as well as to underscore that he has looked forward to welcoming the Cambodia's premier to Washington at the earliest opportunity. While Prime Minister Hun Sen has thanked the U.S. President, also in a letter expressing the U.S. President's intention to invite him and Asian leaders to attend the special Asian-U.S. summit in the coming months, and his desire to further strengthen the relation between ASEAN and the U.S. under Cambodia's chairmanship of ASEAN. As the Asian chair for 2022, Prime Minister Hun Sen wishes to reiterate Cambodia's strong commitment and full support for the U.S. to convene the Asian-U.S. Special Summit in Washington, D.C. The Prime Minister has said that he is confident that the summit will provide a good opportunity for Cambodia to exchange views on how to further advance the Asian-U.S. cooperation. Prime Minister Hun Sen has also said that he is looking forward to working closely with President Joe Biden and to see him in person in Washington, D.C. And Cambodia's premier has renewed his assurance of his highest consideration on the invitation of the U.S. President. Robin Lim, EAC News.
The Minister of Social Affairs, Veterans and Youth Rehabilitation, Vung Sot, has set the work direction in the new year by encouraging factories, enterprises, and private companies to accept persons with disabilities to work at a fixed rate. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has more.
During the opening ceremony of the meeting, he summarised the 2021 Works Result Implementation Direction of 2022 at the Ministry of Affairs. Minister Vung Sot said the ministry will also require factories, enterprises, private companies to strengthen the implementation of the law, the protection, the better promotion of the rights of persons with disabilities. Mr. Vong Sut said that over the course of the COVID-19 pandemic, the ministry provided cash support to 250,000 pregnant women as well as children under 2 years old. The cash support program for the poor and the vulnerable families during the fight against COVID-19 has so far reached 700,000 families. In addition, the National Centre of Treatment and Rehabilitation of Drug Addicts was established in Pria Sanuk Province, as well as Drug Addiction Treatment and Rehabilitation Centre in Kandal Province. The minister added that the Cambodian National Centre for the Disabled also began construction in Kandal Province. Minister Vong Sut continued to say that we still have many challenges that require us to continue to work together to find solutions such as climate change, outbreaks, migration, homelessness, human trafficking, labour trafficking, sexual exploitation, drug use and demographic change. In response to these issues, he urged for the continued implementation of social assistance program as well as the development of national society policy to define the vision, priorities, work and responsibility of the relevant actors to receive juveniles who are also in conflict with the law and educate and rehabilitate them. He further urged for the strengthening of expansion of the program to identify persons with disabilities in order to ensure their rights to continue to provide policies to support them, including policies on the travel and food provisions. As from 2020, there are 8,768 persons with disability registered nationwide working in public and private institutions, 4,204 of them whom are women. Additionally, as of 8 of November 2021, the Ministry of Social Affairs, Veterans and Youth Rehabilitation, in cooperation with the relevant ministries and institutions, including the Capital and Provisional Disability Action Council, to process disability identification cards throughout the country, producing a total of 215,358 disability cards thus far, where 26,949 persons with disabilities are classified as self-employed entrepreneurs. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
Cambodia has vaulted to second place in the latest edition of Nikkei's COVID-19 Recovery Index after the Southeast Asian nation has declared it would start to live with the coronavirus about 3 months ago. Taiwan was ranked in first place, published by the Tokyo-based English-language news magazine Nikkei Asia on Friday. EAC News reporter De Kanin has more details.
The Nikkei COVID-19 Recovery Index evaluates vaccine rollouts and efficiency of COVID-19 management in more than 120 regions and countries up to the end of January. Taiwan has secured the top spot with a score of 82 out of 100. The Philippines, on the other hand, has slipped 45 places to 104th after the Omicron variant drove an explosion in cases, though its outlook may be brightening as infections drop. The index assesses countries and regions on infection management, vaccine rollouts, and social mobility. The higher the ranking, the closer a place is to recovery, characterized by fewer infections, bigger inoculation rates, and less strict social distancing measures. The latest ranking reflects conditions up to the end of January 2022. Cambodia has been steadily climbing the ladder in recent months. It recorded fewer than 900 cases in January and saw no COVID deaths for a month. The country's early success in managing the coronavirus with under 400 reported cases and no death 1 year into the pandemic was upended by a major outbreak that started in February 2021. That has continued for much of last year and has strained the underfunded public health system, triggering widespread lockdowns. Despite of this, Cambodia has pressed ahead with its vaccination drive, relying mainly on Chinese-made vaccines. By November, it had surpassed its vaccination target, prompting Prime Minister Hun Sen to order a full reopening. Later that month, Cambodia became one of the first members of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations to exempt fully vaccinated travelers from quarantine. According to a World Health Organization report dated January 24th, 98.5% of Cambodia's adults and 96.8% of children aged 5 or above had received 2 doses, while nearly half the adult population had given a booster shot as well. The same report has said about 85% of the 43.5 million vaccine doses the country had received were purchased from or donated by China. While the Philippines has only managed to fully vaccinate 53% of its total population, with less than 10% receiving boosters by the end of January, according to the statistics website Will in Data. The highly transmissible Omicron variant hit the Philippines hard, at least in terms of case numbers. The daily count surged to a record 39,004 on mid-January, from as low as 168 before Christmas 2021. Omicron has overwhelmed testing centers, with nearly half of samples coming in positives at one point. Based on their higher positions in the index, other Asia-Pacific countries making similar reopening moves look more ready to do so. Thailand, which has recently restarted its quarantine-free entry program, has jumped 11 spots to the 19th in the latest ranking. Vietnam, which is still struggling with high levels of infections, is beginning to make a comeback, rising 28 places to 90th. It too is moving toward coexisting with the virus, having eased re-entry rules for overseas nationals and foreign workers late last month. Taiwan has climbed to top position with a total score of 82 out of 100. It lost 6 points in flight activity, with international arrivals still down 80% in January compared to pre-pandemic levels. The island keeps its borders largely closed. China has edged up 1 place to 4th, as it prepared for the Beijing Winter Olympics, which has started on Friday. The emergence of local outbreaks spanning several provinces and the arrival of Omicron have made it harder for the country to maintain its strict zero-COVID approach. Japan has tumbled 55 places to 67th. Daily infections exceeded 100,000 for the first time on Thursday, while the rollout of booster shots has been slow. Tokyo alone had more than 20,000 cases for 2 consecutive days, but the metropolitan government is not requesting a full state of emergency at this stage, having revised the criteria considering the apparently lower risk of severe disease caused by Omicron. Dekanin, EAC News.
Prime Minister Hun Sen posted a message on his official Facebook page on Monday evening, apologizing for mistakenly stating that the detained Australian professor Sean Turnell, a former advisor to Aung San Suu Kyi, had been released by the Myanmar military government. EAC News reporter Robin Lim has the story.
In a post made by Prime Minister Hun Sen on his Facebook page on Tuesday night, he clarified that he had mistakenly stated that Australian professor Sean Turnell had been released by the Myanmar military government during his speech at the inauguration ceremony of National Road No. 7 in Kratie province. He said that the release of Professor Sean Turnell is something he had requested to Myanmar military leader Min Aung Hlaing when meeting with him. He clarified that he misspoke on the matter of his release due to some wrong information he received and apologized for this mistake. Immediately after, the Prime Minister posted this message. A spokesman from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation released a clarification statement saying the announcement of Professor Sean Turnell's release was due to false information. The spokesperson further recalled that Prime Minister Hun Sen, when meeting with Senior General Min Aung Hlaing, had raised the issue of Professor Sean Turnell's detention, for which the Senior General assured he would consider the case once the Australian Professors' Court process ends. Sean Turnell is a former advisor to deposed State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi, who was arrested for the February 2021 military coup. Turnell, a professor of economics, had been charged with violating Myanmar's state privacy law and is facing maximum sentencing of 14 years in prison. Robin Lim, EAC News.
Myanmar military leader Senior General Min Aung Hlaing has agreed to arrange for the ASEAN Special Envoy to meet members of the ousted ruling party on a future visit, a senior Cambodian official has announced on Monday. EAC News reporter Dekanin has more.
The pledge, made on January 26th video call with Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen, represents a small concession in a deadlocked peace process since Myanmar military has seized power a year ago from the elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi National League for Democracy, NLD. Myanmar's Army Commander-in-Chief Min Aung Hlaing did not identify which members of the NLD might be made available, revealed by the minister delegate attached to Prime Minister Hun Sen and also a member of the Supreme National Economic Council, Kyaw Kim Hoon, who was part of the video meeting. They have said during the video conference between our Prime Minister and Senior General Min Aung Hlaing that they would provide access to some of the NLD figures, but we don't know those yet, Kyaw Kim Hoon has mentioned. A spokesman for Myanmar's junta did not answer a telephone call seeking comment. Myanmar has been in crisis since the military seized power, with about 1,500 civilians have been killed in the junta's crackdown on its opponents, according to figures cited by the United Nations Human Rights Office. Involving all parties to Myanmar's crisis in dialogue is a key pillar of an ASEAN peace process adopted by the 10-nation bloc last year. Among the others are ending violence and welcoming a special envoy. Dozens of NLD party members have been detained since the February 1, 2021 coup. A spokesperson of the NLD exiled remaining leadership, Nai Phonlat, has said any meetings with the ASEAN envoy should be agreed on by the party. General Min Aung Hlaing's pledge was not enough for Cambodia to invite Myanmar to next week's ASEAN's foreign ministers' retreat. Cambodia, this year ASEAN's chair, has asked Myanmar to name a non-political representative, continuing the exclusion of junta's officials that began at last year's annual Leaders Summit. Dekanin, EAC News.
China's foreign ministry on Tuesday has condemned the latest planned U.S. arms sale to Taiwan, stating it seriously undermined the country's security and sovereignty. China will take robust measures to uphold its own security interests, spokesman Zhao Lijian has told a daily news briefing.
US approves a $100 million deal for Taiwan Patriot missiles, and China condemns this latest planned US arms sale to Taiwan. Defense support comes amid heightened tensions over the self-ruled Democratic Island, which Beijing claims as its own. The United States has approved a $100 million support contract with Taiwan, which aimed at boosting the island's missile defense systems amid heightened tensions with China. The funds would be used to sustain, maintain and improve the South-ruled island's Patriot missiles defense system, the Pentagon said on Monday. A statement from the US Defense Security Corporation, DSCA, said it had delivered the required certification notifying Congress following the State Department approval for the sale, which was requested by Taiwan's de facto embassy in Washington. Upgrades to the Patriot air defense system would help improve the security of the recipient and assist in maintaining political stability, military balance, economic and process in the region, the DSCA had said in a statement.
Since 1952, there have been 7 popes, 14 U.S. presidents, and 13 British prime ministers. But there has only been one British monarch. Queen Elizabeth II has reigned for 70 years, which is longer than any British monarch in history and any current monarch in the world. She was 25 years old when she first ascended to the throne. 41 gun salutes were fired from parapet of the castle in London and Edinburgh on Monday, February 7th, by the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery to mark the 70th anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's accession to the throne.
Another gun salute was fired from the Tower of London on Monday afternoon to mark the occasion of Queen Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor's 70th year reign as Queen of the United Kingdom and 14 other Commonwealth realms. Elizabeth became the Queen of Britain and more than a dozen other realms, including Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, on the death of her father, King George VI, on February 6, 1952, while she was in Kenya on an international tour at age 25. Britain will hold 4 days of national events in June to mark her Platinum Jubilee. During her 7 decades on the throne, the Queen has been a symbol of stability for the country during huge social, economic, and political change, including the end of the British Empire.
French President Emmanuel Macron, the top Western leader to visit Moscow since Russia has begun massing troops on the border with Ukraine, has told Vladimir Putin at start of talks in the Kremlin on Monday, February 7th, that he aimed to avoid war and build trust.
Macron has told the Russian president he was seeking a useful response that of course allows everyone to avoid war and to build bricks of trust, stability, visibility. Putin, for his part, has said Russia and France have shared a common concern about what is happening in the security sphere in Europe. Russia's leader has added he sees how much efforts the current leadership of France and the president personally is applying in order to solve the crisis related to providing equal security in Europe for a serious historical perspective. Macron, who is expected to seek re-election in April, has positioned himself as a potential mediator, with French officials voicing skepticism over predictions by Washington, London, and other Western capitals that a Russian assault is imminent. On his arrival, Macron has told reporters he felt reasonably optimistic, but that also he didn't believe in spontaneous miracles. Russia has deployed more than 100,000 troops near Ukraine's borders. It denies planning an invasion, but says it is ready to take unspecified military technical measures if demands are not met, including a promise by NATO never to admit Ukraine and to withdraw some troops from Eastern Europe. Washington has rejected those demands as non-starters, but says it is willing to talk about arms controls and confidence-building steps, which Moscow says are besides the point.
Victoria Makarova, a construction company manager from the eastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, is spending her weekends learning how to use guns, practicing martial arts, and honing her first aid skills. The 44-year-old mother was quoted as saying, "Now is the time to protect my country, my house, and my family. To be prepared for war is one of the most effective means of preserving peace."
Victoria Makarova is a Russian-speaking Ukrainian resident of the city of Kharkiv, a major industrial center 40 kilometers from the Russian border. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Kharkiv could be the first city to be attacked by Russian forces. Makarova says Russian troops are amassing at our borders and there is a huge danger we will be invaded again. We are not going to run away and abandon our beloved city of Kharkov. This means we have to learn how to defend it. As fears grow over possible Russia invasion, the demand for military and self-defense courses has increased dramatically among the civilian. Igor Poshkarev, a veteran of the 2014 war in eastern Ukraine, who runs the weekend courses for residents of Kharkiv, has said, "Every time Russian aggression grows, the people's motivation increases. They obviously want to refresh their skills and learn new ones." A 23-year-old student of law taking part in the course, Daria Konoks, has said she was not surprised the majority of participants were female. "This is the right place for girls. I know a lot of professional female soldiers, and I believe gender in this situation doesn't matter," she said. Russia has denied planning to invade Ukraine, but has tens of thousands of troops near neighbors' borders.
And now for a look at news making international headlines this Wednesday, 9th February.
9 Palestinians were injured and suffocated during clashes with the Israeli forces north of occupied Jerusalem on Monday, February 7. Eyewitnesses have said Israeli security forces stormed the town of Kafr Aqab and proceeded to search some shops, which led to confrontations with dozens of citizens. The Israeli forces used metal bullets and tear gas canisters to disperse the demonstrators. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society has said in a statement that its crews dealt with 9 injuries, including 3 with rubber-coated metal bullets, and they were transferred for treatment. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society has said in a statement that its crews dealt with 9 injuries, including 3 with rubber-coated metal bullets, and they were transferred for treatment at the Palestine Medical Complex in Ramallah, and 5 cases of suffocation due to tear gas inhalation as a result of falling while being pursued by the occupation forces. Meanwhile, Israeli security forces have killed 3 Palestinians in the city of Nablus in the occupied West Bank. The Palestinian Ministry of Health said that on Tuesday, drawing condemnation from Palestinian Authority on Tuesday, February 8. An eyewitness has recalled that the Israeli army has fired at a car that the 3 Palestinians were using. She has added that for more than a minute, she kept hearing gunshots being fired. When we got to the location, the car was being towed away. It was totally riddled with bullets. At the hospital where the bodies were taken, the doctors have said they had a hard time recognizing the victims because of the gunshots. The ministry has announced that the 3 citizens were martyred as a result of direct shooting by Israeli forces in the city of Nablus. It has identified the victims as Ashraf, Mabuslat, Adam, Mabruka, and Mohammed Dakil. It can be recalled that the main cause of war between Israeli and Palestine was the termination of the British mandate over Palestine, and the Israeli Declaration of Independence sparked a full-scale war, 1948 Arab-Israeli War. On Jerusalem, the plan stated that the general principle is that the Arab areas are Palestinian and that the Jewish areas are Israeli. The holy sites were to be split on the basis that Palestinians would have sovereignty over the Temple Mount Noble Sanctuary, while the Israelis would have sovereignty over the Western Wall.
2 French citizens and a German national are among the 8 victims of a horror bus crash near Cancun, Mexico on Sunday, February 6. The ADO company bus was carrying around 45 passengers, several of them foreign nationals, according to local media. The bus has crashed against a secondary vehicle used in construction work for a train project, Quintana Roo's Attorney General has reported. The vehicle was heading to Cancun from the city of Mérida in the neighboring state of Yucatan. According to preliminary information, the bus has overturned after hitting a truck that was working on the Mayan tourist train the government is building in the area. Paramedics and rescue services have rushed to the crashed site, transferring several of the injured to Cancun General Hospital. Cancun is one of the top beach destinations in Mexico and is frequented by local and international tourists.
Police in Canada's national capital have seized thousands of litres of fuel and has removed an oil tanker as part of the crackdown to end the 11th day of protest against the federal government's health measures and vaccine mandates. Police said on Monday, February the 7th, the Freedom Convoy, consisting largely of trucks, have begun as movement against the Canadian vaccine requirement for cross-border drivers. But it has since evolved into a rally point against Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's strict measures to fight the pandemic. This week, police have counted 1,000 trucks and 5,000 protests, down from 3,000 trucks and 10 to 15,000 protesters last weekend, Solly added. Ottawa has awoke to its second week of its political and policy leaders now describing as a siege, with Solly saying the occupation has gone beyond anything he can adequately deal with. The protesters have been largely peaceful. A short stretch of Metcalfe Street in downtown Ottawa, home of Canada's Parliament, Central Bank and buildings, including Trudeau's office, smelled as a campfire on Monday. A clustering of trucks, cars and tractors without trailers bore signs deriving everything from vaccines to mandates to Canada's carbon tax. There was an evidence of a pushback from residents. Small signs in ground floor windows of an apartment building a few blocks away said, "Go home, morons," and "Vaccine saves lives." A late-night honking and occasional fireworks have disrupted the normally quiet life of residents in downtown Ottawa. An Ottawa court will hear an application for an injunction to end the loud honking downtown residents say has become incensed and unbearable. On Saturday, police have begun removing gas and fuel supplies at logistics encampment set up by protesters after the city's mayor has declared a state of emergency on Sunday. A well-organised supply chain, including portable saunas, a community kitchen and bouncing castles for children, has sustained the protesters. It has relied partly on funding from sympathisers of the United States, police have said. Officials said that they have closed down the GoFundMe accounts that were funding protesters. Former US President Donald Trump and Tesla CEO Elon Musk have praised the truckers.
And now for a look at news making international headlines this Tuesday, 8th February.
Villagers in central Madagascar have shoveled mud from a road on Sunday, February 6, to clear damage from a landslide caused by cyclone Batsirai. A road was damaged in the central Madagascar region of Huate Matsitra while trucks were stuck and a car had to be pushed through the mud left on the road after the cyclone passed through. Batsirai has made landfall on Madagascar's eastern coastline late on Saturday, February 5, with residents reporting strong winds, a power blackout, and houses have destroyed as the storm swept inland. There were fears that Batsirai could compound the devastation wreaked by another cyclone, Anna, which hit the island just 2 weeks ago, killing 55 people. A local weather bulletin has said the Batsirai storm system hit an area about 14 kilometers north of the town of Manjari in Madagascar's southeast. The cyclone had average winds of about 165 kilometers per hour.
Mexican authorities on Sunday, February 6th, have cleared a makeshift camp in the north of the country, where hundreds of migrants heading towards the U.S. border had been holding out for more than a year in what rights organizations have criticized as deplorable conditions. Nearly 400 migrants have been transferred by bus to 3 different shelters near the border city of Tijuana, said the city's mayor Montserrat Caballero. Caballero has promised help for those migrants regardless of whether they want to stay in Tijuana or return to their countries of origin. Dozens of security personnel, including soldiers from the National Guard, were seen dissolving the makeshift camp fenced by metal mesh. Families, including parents with small children, were seen packing up their belongings. There were no reports of violence. On Saturday, Mexico's National Human Rights Commission, CNDH, has urged immigration authorities to speed up the processes that would help nearly 2,000 migrants at the southern border get documents to regularize their stay in Mexico or let them travel through the country without being detained. Tens of thousands of migrants flee their home countries each year in an attempt to reach the United States, but many of them also seek refuge and protection in Mexico.
Dog in the car.
A dog is saved after being rescued from a burning car by Douglas County Sheriff Deputy. Deputy Michael Gregorick has responded to the report of a car fire to find an SUV with smoke coming out of the windows. A man by the vehicle was calling out for help, saying his dog was trapped inside. The deputy began breaking the car windows with a baton, with the owner calling out to his dog, Hank. The owner has tried pulled out his dog of the car, but become overwhelmed. Deputy Gregorick has reached inside and managed to pull the animal out of the vehicle and put him onto the snow. According to the sheriff's office, a veterinarian who lived next door checked on the dog and confirmed he was fine.
A 30-year-old German man who is an IT professional has cracked an unusual record, hula hooping while in the abdominal plank position for 6.34 minutes.
The hardest part is the plank. I hardly noticed the hula hoop, says Kai Sandmeyer, who established the record at Hengen. When he saw a video of the former record holder on Facebook, Sandmeyer decided to try the challenge and hopefully set a new Guinness World Record. While he was not taken seriously at first by his friends and family, Sandmeyer trained intensively before and after work every day to almost double the former record of 3.14 minutes. The biggest challenge for Sandmeyer, who comes from Lentersheim, a small town in south of Germany, was the bureaucracy linked to the record, namely a 36-page long rulebook. To make his performance count, Sandmeyer had to be filmed from several angles, had to have 2 witnesses present, and perform at a public place, in this case, the gym of a nearby school. In case he was not successful, Sandmeyer had given the record of hula hooping while doing push-ups a thought. Since there is no record yet, 10 push-ups would probably be enough. But actually, the bureaucratic effort is just too much for me, Sandmeyer added on Friday, 4th of February.
If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
The Ministry of Interior has requested the Capital Provincial Board of Governors to facilitate political parties that are legally registered to contest at the upcoming Commune District Council election of the 5th mandate in 2022 and the 7th parliamentary election in 2023 with their political activities to ensure a free, fair, and just system. EAC News reporter Robin Lim has more.
In a letter dated 7 January 2022, the Ministry of Interior stated that all legally registered political parties were free to open offices, raise party logos, hold political rallies, or gather party officials after simply informing the commune district authorities in writing. The ministry included that it is not necessary to ask for permission from the commune district authorities in advance, but parties should cooperate with the competent authorities within understanding. Beyond the listed activities, however, prior request from the authorities is required. The Ministry of Interior states that applications must be submitted to the commune district authorities at least 3 days before a banner or political meeting, and commune district authorities must also consider these requests within their jurisdiction in terms of security, order, safety, especially traffic safety, aesthetics, and public hygiene, and must respond to the applications in 1 day. Nearly 50 political parties are currently registered within the Ministry of Interior. The 5th Commune District Council election will be held on the 4th of June 2022. Robin Lim, EAC News.
Senior Minister and First Deputy Chairman of the Cambodian Mine Action and Victim Assistance Authority, Lee Thuich, has said that while Cambodia still faces challenges with landmines, the remaining 2,017 square kilometers of land, of which close to 800 square kilometers is affected by landmines, is planned to be completely cleared of the unexploded ordnances by 2025. EAC News reporter Dekanin has more.
During a review meeting between the Senior Minister Lee Thuich, Director Juan Carlos Ruan of the Implementation Support Unit ISU, and Senior ISU Officer Gregory Cathcart, it was concluded that based on a feasibility assessment, Cambodia, a state party to the Ottawa Convention, also known as the Mine Ban Treaty, had not been able to achieve its 2019 target of clearing all landmines in the country. Cambodia had previously set a goal to clear all landmines in the country over a 10-year period between 2010 to 2019. While falling short of meeting its goal, by 2019, a total of 8,290 minefields had been cleared of anti-personnel mines, 101,424 anti-tank mines, 1,560 munitions, and 73,231 explosive remnants of war, over more than 577 square meters of land. Senior Minister Lee Thuich said that after the review and in accordance with the spirit of the Maputo Plus 15 Declaration in 2014, Cambodia has proposed to extend the demining goal for another 6 years, from 2020 to 2025, to achieve complete freedom from landmines by 2025. In response, Director Juan Carlos Ruan congratulated and commended the royal government of Cambodia for taking care of and organizing a clear structure for the coordination and management of the Cambodian mine action sector, and also expressed his high appreciation for the achievements of the mining work in the past, even despite the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. On the occasion of this meeting, the ISU director continued that he wished to ask Cambodia to host a global conference on assistance of anti-personnel mines and other explosive remnants of war and disability rights, which is scheduled to be held in 2023, with the support of the European Union and participation of 200 countries. As of December 2021, Cambodia has cleared 2,328 square kilometers of land from unexploded ordnances and destroyed 1,118,810 anti-personnel mines, 25,952 anti-tank mines and explosive remnants of war, and 2,983,416 cluster bombs with 7,732,538 beneficiaries. Dekanin, EAC News.
Prime Minister Hun Sen released a special audio message on Tuesday evening expressing his concern about the rise in cases of the new COVID-19 Omicron variant in Cambodia after the number of daily Omicron cases shot up to 200. In response, he has called for a strengthening of health measures and a reduction in the number of public gatherings. EAC News reporter Dekanin has more details.
In a special audio message released on Tuesday evening, Prime Minister Hun Sen called for a strengthening of health measures and reduction in the number of public gatherings at places such as clubs, bars, and beer gardens, and at events such as weddings and other cultural rituals. He has urged all establishments and events to limit the size of gatherings and keep the crowd numbers small. He stressed that this is not a step backwards on the process of reopening the country, but is a necessary measure to prevent a serious catastrophe from occurring. He confirmed that the number of Omicron cases found on Tuesday had climbed to 200 cases, which is a concern for public health, and added that although the cases are only found in Phnom Penh, it is necessary for measures to be taken to prevent the new variant of the COVID-19 virus from spreading across the country like in the past. The Prime Minister requested all authorities and businesses to thoroughly examine and implement the 3 do's and 3 don'ts policy, especially adhering to mask wearing, regularly washing hands, and maintaining social distance. He further urged everyone to get vaccinated against COVID-19, both the first 2 basic doses and the booster doses as required for everyone to reduce the risk of hospitalization due to the pandemic. Following the release of the special voice message from the Prime Minister, the Minister of Health, Mam Bun Heng, issued a warning on the continued spread of COVID-19, particularly the Omicron variant, saying that Cambodia has seen a steady and worrying rise in cases of more than 3 digits every day. The Minister of Health said that the measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19 have not yet been strictly and rigorously implemented, especially in gatherings, and without proper implementation of health measures with the growing number of gatherings taking place, the possibility of transmission of COVID-19 is increasing every day. The minister noted that Omicron is rapidly moving around the world and across borders, requiring citizens to be vigilant and adequately prepared to respond to COVID-19 in a timely manner to avoid public health disasters. Impacts on family and socio-economic well-being, as well as to avoid a return to the hardship of a daily life under previous COVID-19 restrictions and to ensure the sustainability of living in the new normal. He further called on all citizens to continue strictly implementing health measures, especially the 3 do's and 3 don'ts. Get vaccinated and follow the instruction of Prime Minister Hun Sen. The minister stressed that citizens must remain tolerant as Cambodia continues to learn to live with the presence of COVID-19 and carefully reopens its economy and society. As of February 7th, Cambodia has found nearly 1,000 cases of the Omicron variant transmitted within the community. Dekanin, EAC News.
Prime Minister Hun Sen will co-chair the 2022 World Peace Summit in Seoul, South Korea from 10th to 13th February. During his stay in Seoul, he will also meet with Korean President Moon Jae-in. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has more.
In a press release issued on Tuesday, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that Prime Minister Hun Sen and South Korean President Moon Jae-in will meet to discuss bilateral relations and cooperation, including cooperation in the field of politics, and will encourage in the economic and social cultural exchange of views on the regional and international issues of common concern and interest. In addition to meeting President Moon Jae-in, Prime Minister Hun Sen will also meet the former UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon and heads of states of a number of other countries, as well as receiving hearings from other political figures and businessmen. The statement added on the 12th of February, the summit will officially hand over the 5th Sunhak Peace Prize to Prime Minister Hun Sen for his unwavering leadership. For many years, he has been Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Cambodia. who has contributed and the stability of economic development and the peace of Cambodia and the whole of Southeast Asia. Prime Minister Hun Sen is the first ASEAN leader to be awarded the Sun Hak Peace Prize. He is one among the 3 winners in 2022, including the co-founder of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine and Gavi Vaccine Coalition. Speaking at a press conference on Monday, the 7th of February, the President of Universal Peace Federation, Asia Pacific and Special Envoy of the World Summit, Ek Nath Takahal, said that Sun Hak Peace Prize President to Prime Minister Hun Sen reflects his sustainable development and leadership in Cambodia, as well as the Asian Pacific region, and his active involvement in many areas in the region, especially as the 2022 ASEAN Chair and with attending many international meetings. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
The Ministry of Tourism has instructed capital and provincial departments of tourism to request the cooperation of local authorities to stop business operations in the event that those businesses fail to implement or improperly implement health measures. The ministry has also appealed to owners of KTVs, entertainment clubs, bars, discos, and beer gardens to prevent the spread of COVID-19 following a sharp rise in local Omicron cases. EAC News reporter Robin Lim has more.
In a circular letter released by the Ministry of Tourism on strengthening the implementation of the measures on the royal government, the Ministry of Health, and tourism safety measures to combat the spread of COVID-19, particularly the Omicron variant, the Ministry of Tourism reminded the Capital and Provincial Department of Tourism and all tourism business owners and managers to strengthen the implementation of the Minimum Standards and Safety Rules, SOP. These measures include strengthening and implementation of health rules, especially the 3 do's and don'ts, and to register the identities and contact details of all tourists who must register, create and use the QR code Stop COVID system. Tourists are required to scan the QR code before entering any location, and all tourism business establishments need to strengthen management and determine their carrying capacity in order to maintain adequate social distancing of 1.5 meters, especially in establishments such as restaurants and canteens. Additionally, all businesses must ensure that all staff are vaccinated against COVID-19 with both the base and booster doses, and must monitor the health of all employees and inform local authorities if any suspected cases are detected among their employees or guests. The letter states that the Ministry of Tourism calls on the Capital and Provincial Department of Tourism to cooperate with the Capital and Provincial Administration, local authorities, other relevant departments, and private sector actors to implement the stated procedures effectively and responsibly, in order to avoid public health disasters, negative impact on family and social economic standing, as well as to avoid a return to the hardship of daily life, and to ensure a long-term sustainability of new normal life. The ministry has also particularly called on all high-risk businesses such as KTVs, entertainment clubs, bars, and beer gardens to implement health regulations properly, ensuring that all staff are fully vaccinated, implement strict mask-wearing measures, wash hands regularly, check temperatures and vaccination cards, and require their guests to register in the QR code system, spray alcohol for guests before entering businesses' premises, and keep the capacity of guests allowed inside at a safe limit as instructed by the Ministry of Health. Robin Lim, EAC News.
The Funsenpek Party has held its Congress on Wednesday morning, officially electing Prince Norodom Chakravuth as party president and successor to Prince Norodom Ranariddh. EAC News reporter Dekanin has more.
Funsenpek Party spokesman Nhin Radain told EAC News that the presidential election of Prince Norodom Chakravuth during Wednesday's morning's Congress was fully supported by more than 500 party members. He added that, in addition to electing a new president, the party also appointed 3 new vice presidents, amended some party statutes, as well as the party's political strategy. In the official announcements of the decision of the Funsenpek Party's Congress held at Wilsbo, Khanchaba-Ampau, Phnom Penh, it was stated that all members of Congress, including royalists, followers of Sihanoukism, Democrats, and Patriots, resolved to unite under the wisdom of Prince Norodom Chakravuth as the new president of the Funsenpek Royalist Party and resolved to not be divided and to hold on to internal unity in accordance with the historical decree of His Majesty the King Father, Father of National Independence, Territorial Integrity, and Khmer National Unity, His Majesty the King, which was formed on October 30th, 2011, and which was the last wish of the late Prince Norodom Ranariddh. Prince Norodom Chakravut, the eldest son of Prince Norodom Ranariddh and Princess Norodom Marie, was appointed as acting president of Funsipik on August 8, 2018. The election of a new party president follows the death of former Funsipik party president Prince Norodom Ranariddh, who passed away on November 28, 2021 in France at the age of 77 due to illness. Dekanin, EAC News.
The Minister of Interior, Saw King, has expressed his desire to bring all drug addicts from prisons to work in order to reduce overcrowding in prisons and to help them detox from the drug faster and rehabilitate into society. EAC News reporter Robin Lim has the story.
Speaking at the road safety review ceremony, Deputy Prime Minister Sar Keng stated that in Cambodia, there are currently two issues related to public health: the COVID-19 pandemic and a growing drug problem, both of which have long-term impacts on the country. He added that Cambodian authorities have done a good job in cracking down on drug trafficking and sending those involved in drug use cases to detention centers. However, he said that a new problem arising from this is overcrowding of prisons, an issue that needs to be immediately addressed, as since the number of convicted drug trafficking inmates have risen by more than half. The Deputy Prime Minister said that the Ministry of Interior is currently looking into how to further address the growing drug problem in the country to completely neutralize the situation. However, for now, the ministry is deciding to act on prison overcrowding by taking inmates out and putting them to work. One example he gave was assigning prisoners to go out into the field and grow vegetables for 8 hours a day. He continued that work on this issue is possible, but a budget will be needed for support. He also requested civil society organizations and stakeholders to comment on this issue as well. According to Deputy Prime Minister Sar Keng, more than 38,000 detainees are currently held in prisons in Cambodia, of which more than 20,000 were convicted for drug offense, accounting for 54.2% of detainees. Robin Lim, EEC News.
The foreign ministers from Cambodia and Brunei Darussalam have agreed to sign a memorandum of understanding between the two countries' respective governments. This agreement was made during a meeting between the foreign ministers on Wednesday. EAC News reporter Dekanin has more details.
Cambodian Foreign Minister Prat Sokhonn and Brunei Darussalam's second Foreign Minister Dato Irivan Pehan Yusof have agreed to sign a memorandum of understanding between the Cambodian and Bruneian governments on bilateral consultations. During the meeting between the foreign ministers, the two sides held the 30 years of diplomatic ties between the two countries, and the Bruneian side expressed that the Sultan Hassanal Bolkiah also wishes to pay a visit to Cambodia before the ASEAN summit being held in November. The Bruneian Minister of Foreign Affairs also invited the Minister Prat Sokhonn to come and visit Brunei at an appropriate time. In addition to discussing bilateral relations and agreeing to sign a memorandum of understanding between the two countries, the foreign ministers also discussed issues related to the ASEAN region, especially Myanmar. In a statement issued on Wednesday night, the Cambodian Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that both the ministers had similar views on the complexity of the situation in Myanmar, which needs to be addressed through a step-by-step approach. The two ministers concurred that ASEAN should continue to persevere in engendering an inclusive process of dialogue, which should be Myanmar-led and Myanmar-owned, to end violence, prevent worsening humanitarian conditions, and achieve durable peace. They shared commitment to work together, along with other ASEAN colleagues, to expedite progress on the implementation of five-point consensus and to further strengthen the centrality and unity of ASEAN. Brunei and Cambodia first established diplomatic relations in 1992, with each country's respective embassies also cooperating in trade, education, and defense. Dekanin, EAC News.
The first Deputy Director of the Cambodian Mine Action and Victim Assistance Authority, Senior Minister Lee Tuk, said that Cambodia plans to celebrate the 30th anniversary of demining efforts in 2022, after the kingdom achieved complete peace since 1998 and was able to deal with the threat of landmines and unexploded ordnances effectively and without fear. EAC News reporter Robin Lim has more.
The Deputy Director of the CMAA made this statement during a meeting held on Thursday with the Ambassador of Canada to Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos, Sarah Taylor, on partnership and cooperation in the field of mine action in Cambodia and the Mine Authority headquarters. During the meeting, Senior Minister Lee Toik briefed the Canadian ambassador on the royal government's efforts to address landmines and explosive remnants of war in Cambodia as a result of the country's protracted war since the early 1960s, and the start of humanitarian demining in Cambodia since 1992. Ambassador Sarah Taylor congratulated Cambodia on 30 years of demining work and said she joins the country in celebrating this milestone. The ambassador also affirmed that Canada will continue to work with the royal government of Cambodia in its demining work to achieve the goal of clearing all mines in the country by 2025, and will support the review of mine action data management, area research and mitigation of land affected by mines, and also provide technical assistance on resource mobilization for the mine action sector in Cambodia. Robin Lim, EAC News.
The Canadian ambassador to Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia, Sarah Taylor, has stated that Canada can provide training for building environmentally friendly technology in response to a request from the Minister of Public Works to receive support to allow the next generation of Cambodians to build their own sustainable infrastructures. EAC News reporter Decca Nin has more details.
The Minister of Public Works and Transport, Senior Minister Sun Chantol, said in a meeting with Ambassador Sarah Taylor that Cambodia has established the Dakjo San Institute of Public Works and Transport to train the next generation of Cambodians to be able to build physical infrastructure without external help. But there is currently a need for support in developing the curricula surrounding the engineering of roads and bridges, with a particular need for qualified professors. In response, Ambassador Taylor said that Canada also offers scholarship to all ASEAN countries on various scales for capacity building, sending professors for hands-on training, sharing the Canadian experience and best practices related to the principles of state partnership and private infrastructure construction. The Canadian ambassador said that Canada has the technical expertise to build environmentally friendly infrastructure and can thus advise Cambodia on this matter. She added that they are looking for local partners, especially universities, to collaborate with on curriculum development for Cambodian students. Senior Minister Sun Chantol also mentioned the project to develop Cambodia's public transport system, including the addition of an automated train, subway, and monorail development project to reduce traffic congestion in Phnom Penh, and asked Canada to help review the development strategy of these projects as well. Dekanin, EAC News.
The groundbreaking ceremony for a $22 million drainage system and wastewater treatment plant at Saray Sapon City in Banti Minche Province was held on Friday under the presidency of Lee Sari, the Deputy Governor of Banti Minche Province. According to the Director of the Department of Public Works and Transport of Banti Minche Province, Sok Chanta, the project area spans across 36,724 kilometers of land and will connect houses, commercial buildings, and 3,766 institutions, with 9,765 kilometers of pressure sewer network, 63,332 kilometers of sewer network, one main pumping station and 3 small pumping stations, and a wastewater treatment station with a processing capacity of 3,500 cubic meters per day. The director further confirmed that the contract for this project was signed on 19 April 2021 by the Royal Government of Cambodia with a Chinese company under the technical supervision of the National Advisor of the Asian Development Bank and the Ministry of Public Works and Transport, with a total budget of $22.4 million and a 3-year construction plan. The Cambodian Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts is applying for the inscription of 14 cultural properties on the UNESCO World Heritage List, including Khmer traditional rice noodles. EAC News reporter Robin Lim has the story.
At the opening ceremony of the meeting to summarize the work results of 2021 and the work direction of 2022 of the Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts held on Wednesday at the Chaktamuk Conference Hall, the Minister of Culture and Fine Arts, Phung Sakona, stated that the 14 cultural assets had to be submitted for inscription on the World Heritage List, the List of Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity, and the UNESCO Creative Cities Network. These assets include temples like Banti Khmer and Angkor Bore, the Tu Slang Genocide Museum, the Royal Water Festival, the city of Battambang, Kun Bokatao, martial arts, and of course, Khmer traditional rice noodles. These noodles, known as Num Ban Chok in Khmer, are popularly eaten by Cambodians for breakfast or as an afternoon snack. Num Ban Chok noodles are made by soaking rice for 2 to 4 hours and grinding them into a liquidy paste. The paste is pressed into round shapes and dried into calico bags, before getting pulverized and turned into a viscous paste. This paste is then extruded into boiling water, and the noodles are boiled for 3 to 4 minutes before being transferred to cold water. There are many regional variations of Num Ban Chok across Cambodia, but the most famous one has a fish broth base, a variety of vegetables such as cucumber, banana flour, and lemongrass. This right here is Khmer noodle, Num Ban Chok. It has a fish broth with coconut milk and a lot of other various ingredients. And on the condiment side, we have a variety of vegetables and beautiful flowers that are edible. I'm gonna combine all the ingredients and I'll give it a taste test. All right, ready to eat. Let's give it our first bite. Wow, delicious. Here's the broth. Delicious. Robin Lim, EAC News, Phnom Penh.
As Brazil faces a punishing drought, swaths of the so-called fish lagoon in Rio Grande do Sul look depleted of water and filled instead with vast amounts of dead fish, the latest mass casualties of the country's dire spell.
Fisherman Daniel de Matos de Rosa has estimated between 15 and 20 tonnes of fish have died in the brackish waters of the lake at the heatwave and sharp decrease in rains had lowered the basin's water level. He has said that they are experiencing a great drought that is really harming fishermen, and also the entire ecosystem losses are huge. Brazil is suffering one of its worst droughts in decades, pushing up food and power prices, fanning double-digit inflation in a country already battered by one of the world's deadliest coronavirus outbreaks. Dry conditions are also burdening the agricultural sector, and forecasts show continued dryness across crop-growing regions of Brazil for the upcoming 2 weeks, reinforcing recent reduced crop estimates by private consultants. South American weather concerns are driving export business to the United States at the time when export demand generally shifts to Brazil and Argentina. Last month, Brazilian meat industry group ABPA has said Brazilian consumers could see another round of stiff rises in food prices this year as meat packers grapple with higher costs due to drought hurting the crop.
The World Health Organization's Regional Director for Europe has announced on Thursday that Europe's COVID-19 situation was entering a plausible endgame. Europe slowly starts to consider treating COVID like the flu. But of course, new metrics are needed as COVID becomes an endemic. Hospitalization rates remain manageable despite surging cases.
I wish to reiterate the firm call I made.
WHO's Regional Director of Europe, Mr. Hans Klunge, made comments during a WHO conference on the status of COVID-19 throughout the region. He has added that while the pandemic is not over, the European region had an opportunity to take control of the transmission thanks to the combination of vaccine drives, a favourable, sensible pause and lower severity of the Omicron variant. Some 12 million new cases were reported in Europe in the past week, making the highest week cases incidence since the start of the pandemic, largely driven by the spread of Omicron. However, the case incident rate and overall admissions to intensive care have not increased significantly, and the number of deaths across the region is starting to plateau.
6 Russian warships have passed to the Black Sea from the Mediterranean for naval drills. Russia's defense ministry has confirmed this on Tuesday, February 8th, in what it said was a pre-planned movement of military resources.
Russia has announced last month its Navy would stage a sweeping set of exercises involving all its fleets in January and February, from the Pacific to the Atlantic, in the latest show of its strength in a surge of military activity during a standoff with the West over Ukraine. The 6 ships have passed through Turkey's straits to the Black Sea on Tuesday, and Wednesday, Turkish sources has confirmed. The vessels include the Korolev, the Minsk, and the Kaliningrad have navigated the Bosphorus on Tuesday, while the Pyotr, Morgunov, the Georgy Pobedonosets, and the Oligorsky Gornyak have passed on Wednesday. Russia has amassed more than 100,000 troops near the Ukraine border. However, it denies any plans to invade, but it's seeking sweeping security guarantees, including a promise of no missile deployments near its borders, a scaling back of NATO military infrastructure, and a ban on Ukraine ever joining the alliance. Legally, NATO member Turkey could shut the straits to transit if Russia were to take military action against Ukraine. A political analyst based in Istanbul, Yurok Isik, has said, Turkey is authorized to close the straits to all foreign warships in wartime or when it is threatened by aggression. Also, it is authorized to refuse transits to merchant ships belonging to countries at war with Turkey. Turkey, which shares a maritime border with both Ukraine and Russia in the Black Sea, has said any military conflict would be unacceptable and has told Moscow any invasion would be unwise. However, Turkey President Tayyip Erdogan has also offered to mediate in the row between Moscow and Kiev. Ankara has cordial relations with both countries, though Erdogan says it will do what is necessary as a NATO member in the event of a Russian invasion. French President Emmanuel Macron has said after talks in the Kremlin on Monday with Russia's Vladimir Putin that the coming days would be crucial in the standoff over Ukraine. Putin has suggested some progress had been made in the talks.
Collectivement pour la Russie.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has arrived in Melbourne on Wednesday, February 9th, ahead of the Quad meeting with the foreign ministers of Japan, India, and Australia. This Friday, February 11th, in Melbourne, it's hosting the counterparts from India, Japan, and the United States for the 4th Quad Foreign Ministers meeting. This is the 3rd in-person meeting of Quad Foreign Ministers following Tokyo in October 2020 and the inaugural meeting in New York City in September 2019. Ministers last met virtually in February 2021.
The Quad countries, United States, India, Japan, and the host country, Australia, are expected to discuss how to further common goals, such as climate policy and providing COVID-19 vaccines to Southeast Asia ahead of an expected May summit in Japan that US President Joe Biden plans to attend. Australia's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Minister for Women, Senator Marise Payne, has said she is looking forward to welcoming Indian Minister of External Affairs, Dr. S. Jayashankar, Japanese Minister for Foreign Affairs, Hayashi Yoshimasa, and United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken to discuss positive and ambitious agenda in support of a secure and prosperous Indo-Pacific. Blinken's trip comes days after China and Russia have declared a no-limits strategic partnership, their most detailed and assertive statement to work together, and against the United States to build a new international order based on their own interpretations of human rights and democracy. All aspects of the visit will be conducted in strict adherence to the Victorian government COVID-19 health guidelines and protocols. Following the Quad meeting, Blinken will travel to Fiji, the first by a Secretary of State in 4 decades, as China steps up its aid and influence in the Pacific region.
The leaders of Germany, France, and Poland have discussed ways to de-escalate tensions over the Russian military buildup on the border of Ukraine. In their talks late on Tuesday, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has said,
The common goal is to prevent a war in Europe, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has said alongside President Emmanuel Macron and Polish President Andrzej Duda ahead of talks in the Weimar Triangle format in the German Chancellery. The amassing of Russian troops on the Ukraine border is of great concern, and Europe's appraisal of the situation is united. And their position on this, any further attack on the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine is unacceptable and will draw wide-reaching consequences onto Russia, politically, economically, and geostrategically, Chancellor Scholz has further said. Western countries, led by the United States, fear Russia is preparing to invade Ukraine. Moscow says it is planning no invasion but could take unspecified military technical measures unless a number of security demands are met, including a promise from NATO never to admit Kyiv. The United States and European Union have threatened Russia with sanctions if it attacks Ukraine. Moscow, still Europe's biggest energy supplier, despite already being under sanctions since seizing Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula in 2014, has largely dismissed new sanctions as an empty threat. Polish President Andrzej has said this was the most difficult situation Europe was facing since 1989, a milestone in a year of momentous change in Europe, leading in a few short months to the fall of the Berlin Wall in November 1989 and the fall of the Iron Curtain dividing Eastern and Western Europe. Poland President Andrzej Duda has said they have to find a solution, and they need to find such a solution that makes sure war is avoided. It is their most important objective at the moment. The president believes they can achieve this, and he thinks that the most important thing at the moment is that they have to work in unity and solidarity. They have to show that they speak with one voice, that they are in this together, and that they cannot be broken. And he also thinks that they must also show that they will not back down. On Monday, February 6th, US President Joe Biden has said after meeting Scholz that the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline, designed to double the amount of gas flowing from Russia straight to Germany, would be halted if Russia invades Ukraine. Scholz has said the pair had the same approach to Ukraine, to Russia, and to sanctions, but did not directly confirm the Nord Stream 2 plans.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has said on Wednesday that the country will do everything to find a compromise that would suit everyone after holding talks with French President Emmanuel Macron in the Kremlin. Putin has also said that first Moscow summit he has held with a Western leader since the Kremlin began massing troops near its neighbor had been substantial, but also repeated warnings about the threat of war were Ukraine to join NATO.
In a joint news conference after talks with his French counterpart, President Emmanuel Macron, Vladimir Putin has said there would be no winners should European countries be drawn into a military conflict with Russia in the event Ukraine joins NATO and tries to retake Crimea. If Ukraine joins NATO and tries to get Crimea back by military means, European countries will automatically be drawn into military conflict with Russia. Putin has stated, is speaking with heavy emphasis, there will be no winners. He has urged Ukraine to comply with the Minsk agreements, which include an aim to end the separatist war by Russian speakers in the Donbas region. The Russian president has also said Washington and Brussels had raised some issues that could be discussed, although for Russia, they were secondary. Macron, who has pushed his diplomatic credentials as he eyes possible re-election in 2 months' time, held more than 5 hours of talks over dinner when he met the Russian president.
And now for a look at news making international headlines this Friday, 11th February.
An intoxicated truck driver has rammed his vehicle into parked cars after ignoring a red light in southern Germany, shoving cars up against buildings and causing some of them to catch fire, police has said. 3 people were slightly injured and 31 vehicles damaged in the incident in Fürth just outside Nuremberg on Tuesday evening. The truck driver first skipped a red light touching a car that was at a crossroad in the process and carried on without stopping, according to a police statement. Shortly afterward, the truck rammed several parked cars and pushed them forward, some of them into the walls of buildings. The collision caused several cars, the facade of an apartment apartment building and the truck itself to catch fire. The building was evacuated. Mobile phone video footage of the crash site shows the night sky lit up by flames, with crushed cars filled up and lining the 500-meter street on both sides. It looks like a battlefield like after a war when you think that one inebriated person can do this. It's crazy, said a local resident at the crash site. The driver, a 50-year-old Turkish citizen with no permanent residence in Germany, was arrested at the scene. Police has confirmed a brief alcohol test has showed that he was several times above the limit for driving, they added. The truck driver, the driver of the car, he touched at the red light, and a passerby were slightly injured.
Thousands of Palestinians have marched in a funeral held for 3 Palestinians killed in their car on Tuesday by Israeli forces. Residents have gathered around the car shattered with the bullets and filled with blood after Israeli security forces killed the 3 men in Nablus city in the occupied West Bank, Israeli Domestic Security Service has reported. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry has condemned the killing as a field execution. The armed wing of the Palestinian Fatah group has claimed the 3 men as members. A Palestinian source had earlier said the men belonged to the Islamic Jihad group, but a source in the group later has denied it. The Shin Bet Security Service has described the men as a terrorist squad that had carried out shooting attacks against Israeli soldiers and civilians in the area over the past few weeks. There were no casualties reported in those attacks.
Ukraine on Wednesday has received another consignment of weapons from the United States as part of defensive aid totaling $200 million. Moscow denies any plans to invade, but is seeking sweeping concessions from the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the military alliance which has underpinned security in Western Europe since 1949. British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss will fly to Moscow on Wednesday to meet her Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov and discuss the situation in Ukraine. After the break, a look at all the latest sports news.
If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
A 30-year-old German man who is an IT professional has cracked an unusual record, hula hooping while in the abdominal plank position for 6.34 minutes.
The hardest part is the plank. I hardly noticed the hula hoop, says Kai Sandmeyer, who established the record at Hengen. When he saw a video of the former record holder on Facebook, Sandmeyer decided to try the challenge and hopefully set a new Guinness World Record. While he was not taken seriously at first by his friends and family, Sandmeyer trained intensively before and after work every day to almost double the former record of 3.14 minutes. The biggest challenge for Sandmeyer, who comes from Lenternsheim, a small town in south of Germany, was the bureaucracy linked to the record, namely a 36-page long rulebook. To make his performance count, Sandmeyer had to be filmed from several angles, had to have 2 witnesses present, and perform at a public place, in this case, the gym of a nearby school. In case he was not successful, Sandmeyer had given the record of hula hooping while doing push-ups a thought. Since there is no record yet, 10 push-ups would probably be enough. But actually, the bureaucratic effort is just too much for me, Sandmeyer added on Friday, 4th of February.
China's teen skiing sensation and home crowd favorite Eileen Gu wins gold on Tuesday in the women's free ski big air competition and crashes the Chinese internet. The 18-year-old is taking home the Olympic gold medal in women's free ski big air.
Sports fans across China temporarily crushed the country's leading social media platform on Tuesday as tens of millions rushed online to celebrate teenage free ski sensation Eileen Gu winning her first gold medal at the Beijing Olympics. American-born Gu, 18, has jumped into the top position at the women's big air competition with her third run, scoring 94.5 feet at 16.20 and a perfect landing, making her total score 188.25 in the event's debut at the Winter Olympics. She narrowly beat out France's Tess Ledoux, who took silver with a score of 187.50. Switzerland's Mathilde Grimaud won the bronze. That was the best moment of my life, the happiest moment, day, whatever, of my life. I just cannot believe what just happened, said Gu after her win, according to the Olympic site. Even if I didn't land it, I felt it would send a message out to the world and hopefully encourage more girls to break their own boundaries, she added. That was my biggest goal into my last run. I reminded myself to have fun and enjoy the moment and that, no matter what, I was so grateful to even have this opportunity to even be here. Fans filled the stands to cheer for Gu, who was born and raised in California but decided in 2019 to compete for China. Known as the Snow Princess in China, Gu, already a reigning world champion, has become the unofficial face of China's Olympic ambitions and saw her popularity skyrocket in the lead-up to the Games. Gu's victory has sparked joyous scenes online. The topic has dominated searches on China's Twitter-like platform Weibo, where 7 of the top 10 trending topics were all about Gu's win. Fans on her Weibo, where she has 2.6 million followers, left more than 90,000 comments in less than 30 minutes after her win. Gu was born in San Francisco to an American father and Chinese mother. She grew up skiing on the slopes of nearby Lake Tahoe and had reached her first World Cup podium by the age of 15. At a news conference after her win on Tuesday, reporters have asked Gu several times if she was still a U.S. citizen. She dodged answering each time, saying only that she felt American in the U.S. and Chinese in China. Since joining China's national team, Gu's face has been splashed across magazine covers and billboards in the country. She has landed numerous sponsorships and brand deals and is fast becoming one of China's hottest young stars, though her newfound success has also come with increased scrutinies from critics in the West. Apart from her skiing career, she's also a model, brand ambassador, and was accepted into Stanford University, which she plans to attend in the fall.
A recent interview in which Peng Shuai denied accusing anyone of sexual assault has done little to address concerns about the Chinese player's safety, the Women's Tennis Association reaffirmed on Monday.
Chinese tennis star Peng has re-emerged at the Beijing Olympics and giving a rare interview with the French sports news site L'Equipe. Peng, a former doubles world number 1, told the French newspaper L'Equipe that a social media post where she appeared to allege that a former child of the Weibo post, which later was deleted. Post led the WTA suspend tournaments in China and caused an international outcry about her well-being. In a statement, WTA Chairman and CEO Stephen Simon said, "It's always good to see Peng Shuai, whether in an interview or attending the Olympic Games." Peng Shuai was on hand on Tuesday to watch China's Eileen Gu as she won gold in the Big A competition in Beijing to put the host nation at the top of the medals table. Peng's well-being became a matter of global concern when she appeared to allege on social media in November that the former Chinese Vice Premier Zhang Gaoli has sexually assaulted her in the past. After that post, which was quickly removed, she disappeared from public view for nearly 3 weeks. Peng has said little since her initial social media post, and discussion of the scandal has been heavily centred in China's tightly controlled cyberspace, with searches in Peng's name on Weibo continue to show no recent search results. Peng will soon be leaving the closed loop at the Winter Games.
Russian 15-year-old sensation Kamila Valieva made history on Monday in becoming the first woman to land quadruple jumps at the Olympics, helping the Russian Olympic Committee to its second gold medal of the Beijing Games.
Competing in the team event where the Russian Olympic Committee had already sealed the gold medal ahead of the United States and Japan, she perfectly executed a quadruple salchow at the start of her free skate. "When I was 3 years old, I made a wish to become an Olympic champion," Valieva said after her free skate at Beijing's capital indoor stadium. "My childhood dream has come true." "The first Olympics I watched were the Sochi Games," she said. "I remember that I especially liked Yulia Lipnitskaya free skate. Then, the Olympics were in Korea, Pyeongchang, where I cheered for Evgenia Medvedeva and Alina Zakitova. And now it's my turn to experience such emotions." Performing to Maurice Ravel's Bolero, Valieva beautifully executed a quadruple salchow to open her free skate, then landed a quad toe loop in a combination before falling on another attempted quad toe loop. Although she was pleased about her gold medal with the team, Valieva is a favorite to win gold in the women's event, which would continue the line of phenomenal Russian teenage skaters at the Olympics.
Austria's Matthias Mayr becomes the first man to win an alpine skiing gold medal at 3 consecutive Olympic Games, after winning the Super G at the Beijing Games on Tuesday, 8th of February.
Mayr, who won a gold in downhill in Sochi in 2014 and Super G in Pyeongchang 4 years ago, raced down the rock in a time the tenth of a second behind him. Mayr had picked up bronze in Tuesday's downhill, but got his hands on gold with the stunning final stage in his run where he made up. "I saw Kendall's run on TV, and at the start of it, it was really good, so I knew I had to go all in. That's such a big success, I can't imagine right now," he said. The Austrian found it hard to process his achievement of winning gold at all 3 Winter Games he has featured in. Austrian men's head coach, star now, but he has a good guy and still staying on the past 2 Olympics. Mayr will also become the first skier, male or female, to win gold in 3 successive Olympics purely in speed events.
San Francisco-born Eileen Gu, who lifted the host country to the top of the medals table at the Beijing Olympics with a free ski big air gold on Tuesday, remained evasive on whether she was holding an American passport.
The 18-year-old fashion model and incoming Stanford University student was already considered Team China's best-known winter athlete, and her popularity has gone through the roof. "So I grew up spending 25 to 30% of my time in China. I'm fluent in Mandarin and English and fluent culturally in both," she answered when asked if she was still an American citizen. "So coming here, I really feel there was a sense of coming home. I feel just as American as Chinese. I don't feel I'm taking advantage of one or another. They understand that my mission is to foster a connection between countries and not a divisive force." Chinese media have also focused on her fluent Mandarin, Eurasian features. Gu was born to a Chinese mother and American father, proud embrace of Chinese culture, and academic prowess as a reason for her popularity with China's public. China does not allow dual nationality, and state media have previously reported that the 18-year-old renounced her U.S. citizenship after she became a Chinese national at the age of 15. Gu would not confirm that. When the reporter asked again, the news conference moderator interjected, Next question, please. Gu has not been without controversy, however, particularly over her decision in 2019 to switch teams and represent China after years of competing for the United States, where she was born and raised.
Italy's Arianna Fontana outwitted the Netherlands' Suzanne Schulting to claim a record-extending 10th Olympic medal in short track speed skating and retain her title in the 500 meters event at the Beijing Winter Games on Monday.
Fontana, 31, the most decorated short tracker in women's or men's events, now has 2 more medals than American Apollo Ono and Russian Victor An. The Angela Biondo Blonde Angel overtook second place Dutch Schulting on the final lap and screamed with joy as she crossed the line, breaking the near silence at the Capitol Indoor Stadium. In this scream was all the rage I accumulated in the last 3 years, said Fontana, who trains in Hungary after what she said was an aggression towards her on the ice at home and opposition to having her husband as coach. They tried to find a way to hurt us and for us not to be here, but we thrived through all this stuff, she told the news conference. It was a tough for sure, but it was all worth it. Arianna Fontana, the short track speed skater with most Olympic medals, threatened on Tuesday not to take part in the home games in Milano and Cortina in 2026 in a dispute with the Italian Skating Federation if not resolved. She trains in Hungary following the dispute with the Italian National Skating Federation, which opposes her husband, Anthony Laballo, as a coach. The accusations of aggression against her while training on ice. A spokesman for the Italian Olympic Committee said there will be no comment on those assertions from the National Skating Federation. Fontana now stands tied with cross-country skier Stefano Bellandomo as Italian's decorated Olympian.
The Nice Carnival is back. Nice Carnival is one of the most important events in France and one of the most famous the world over. It takes place every year during the month of February and is one of the most popular events on the French Riviera, attracting each year hundreds of thousands of spectators. The Nice Carnival is set to take place again this year in the southern French city, under the theme King of the Animals, after the 2021 edition was cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This year's 2022 Nice Carnival will begin on Saturday, February 12th and will end on Sunday, February 27th.
The earliest records established the Nice Carnival's existence in 1294, when the Count of Provence, Charles Anjou, wrote that he has passed the joyous day of Carnival. This may make the Nice Carnival the original Carnival celebration. In 1873, a committee was created for the Carnival, headed by the local artist Alexis Mossat, with later contributions from his son Gustave Adolphe Mossat. The Carnival was reinvented into a parade, adding masquerades, satirical floats, and competitions. Each year, a special theme is chosen, and artists create 18 floats and other figurines in traditional papier-mâché for the colorful parade. The parades take place day and night, while on the promenade des Anglais, flower battles occur. Craftsmen were putting the finishing touches to the floats, depicting an array of beasts from a roaring gorilla to a giant praying mantis bearing the symbol of the female gender on its forehead. This year's notable addition is a special float featuring some of the main candidates for the April 2022 presidential election, along with President Emmanuel Macron, who is expected to run but yet has to announce his candidacy. The Nice Carnival is one of the world's major carnival events, alongside the Brazilian Carnival, Venetian Carnival, and Mardi Gras in New Orleans. It is held annually in February and sometimes early March in Nice on the French Riviera. Until a series of health restrictions were lifted on February 2nd, the number of attendees had been limited to 5,000 seated people, but organizers now expect to welcome an additional 7,000 standing spectators. Every year, the carnival attracts more than 200,000 spectators with its parade and annual Battle of the Flowers, where blooms are thrown at the public from the floats. The event has been a fixture of the city on the French Riviera for almost 150 years.
The cuteness that is the Puppy Bowl is returning for its 18th year on Super Bowl Sunday, February 13th. Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart will return to host the 18th annual Puppy Bowl on Sunday. The event will feature over 100 puppies from 67 shelters across 33 states. The puppies will be competing on either Team Rough or Team Fluff for the Lombardi Trophy. The 3-hour event encourages viewers to adopt the adorable participants. The Puppy Bowl is an annual television program on Animal Planet that mimics an American football game similar to the Super Bowl using puppies. Shown each year on Super Bowl Sunday, the show consists of footage of a batch of puppies at play inside a model stadium, with commentary on their actions. The first Puppy Bowl was shown on February 6, 2004. The puppies featured in the Puppy Bowl are from shelters. The entire program is designed to raise awareness about adopting pets from shelters and rescuing abandoned animals. A veterinarian is on site during the production of the Puppy Bowl to ensure animal safety and well-being, and to administer any veterinary medical care which might be needed. Representatives from American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, as well as the shelters which lend their animals to the production, are also on site as observers to ensure animal welfare standards are maintained. In 2012, an American Humane Association representative was always on site to ensure that puppies did not become too aggressive and injure one another. According to its associate producer, about 53 hours of videoing are needed to produce a single Puppy Bowl.
We have a record year this year. 103 puppies participating. That is the most amount ever. 9 pairs of siblings. That is the most ever. We're from 23 different states, 51 shelters. We have 34 cats participating. Early reports are showing you gotta look out for chorizo and you gotta look out for birch. They're tiny, but they pack a huge punch.
Each year, a Most Valuable Puppy, or MVP, is chosen at the end of the show for the puppy considered to be the standout performer of the event. Beginning with Puppy Bowl 11, viewers were allowed to vote for the MVP. MVP voting was permitted for the program's airing. While producers aim to entertain, the main goal is to raise awareness about pet adoption. At the end of each break, puppies currently available for adoption will be shown during the program. The 3-hour special will be streamed on Discovery Plus and on air on the U.S. network Animal Planet.
If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
And now for a look at how the weather will be playing out over the next few days. Thank you for watching the Weekly Roundup on EAC News Channel. For more breaking news and updates, you can check out our website, eacnews.asia, or search EAC News on Telegram or at your favorite app store. More from the EAC News team in the Daily Roundup on Monday at 8 p.m. We will see you then.